Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Melanin Mayhem podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. My podcast shines a spotlight on prolific criminals you've probably never heard of, but you should definitely know about, because they did some shit. This podcast is dedicated to destroying the myth about the types of crimes melanated people don't do. Don't do being in air quotes because we do everything the envelopians do, and we are getting away with it because nobody considers them black crimes. I guess that's not one of those black jobs they was talking about, huh? Well, Noir Nation, it's the holiday season and all that good shit. We got 1 week till Christmas. I hope that you've done all that you needed to do. And if you haven't, don't worry about this shit. There is always next year. And if this is your first time joining us over here at the Melanin Mayhem podcast, thank you for your stream, first of all. But I gotta ask you, what took you so long, honey? That's okay, though. It's better late than never. Just be intentional about listening to the country girl in 2025. And to my ace boo coos, my lovers of black true crime, Melanin Mayhem style, Noir Nation. Hey, baby. How your mama and them? Man, we getting real close to the end of this year. Y'all ready for 2025? I know I am, because, woo, my lord, 2024 wasn't no joke. Man, I'm scared to say what's gonna happen next. So I'm gonna just be quiet and mind my black-owned business and the business of these prolific criminals that I tell you about every week. Speaking of criminalistic people, this week we are headed to Louisiana, baby. To Baton Rouge, to be specific, and talking about another one of those dudes that nobody could believe was taking them down the way he was. Talk about hiding in plain sight. This nigga was in and out of jail, in and out of prison, but he benefited from the myth that black people aren't serial killers. He used that shit to his advantage and serial killed like the rent was due, honey. This week's is the poster boy for you can't judge a book by its cover. Now, have y'all ever heard that saying that somebody is a wolf in sheep's clothing? Yeah, this case definitely exemplifies that notion. Because there was a general bias from law enforcement that a wolf ain't a wolf when he's brown-skinned with dimples and good talk game. Even if he doing wolf shit. That's not a wolf. Even when respected, credible, upstanding citizens try to tell the authorities that this animal that y'all swear ain't a wolf is actually the big bad motherfucking wolf that's been wolfing all over the place. And then when it finally come out that the wolf is really the wolf that's been wolfing stuff up, here come the gaslighting. Everybody's shocked and amazed. If you don't get out of my face with that tomfoolery, I told y'all that was a wolf. Didn't nobody want to believe me. But anyway, y'all will see. Noir Nation, this week I bring you the tale of a suave, smooth-talking, charming, good-looking monster that preyed on the women of South Louisiana for more than 10 years. Didn't get caught one time. This trifling nigga was audacious and cunning, and he would still be out there criming all over the place if it hadn't been for one man that let the evidence lead him instead of him leading the evidence. Bringing to the front of the congregation this week's Melanin Mayhem maker, Mr. Derrick Todd Lee, a.k.a. the Smooth Criminal, a.k.a. the Baton Rouge Serial Killer. Well, all right, y'all, let's get right on into it, honey. Derrick Todd Lee was born November 5th, 1968 to Florence and Willie Barrow. Now, Derrick hails from St. Francisville, Louisiana. That's about 30 miles north of Baton Rouge. Now, you ain't heard this from me, but they say Derrick was a little strange. How strange, Nate? What you talking about? Well, they say this nigga was into being a spectator of sorts. A peeping Tom, if you will. I'm talking about from way back. I'm talking since childhood, this nigga been a looky-loo. Ooh, honey. And peeping Tom, that's an old school term, ain't it? Have we not upgraded that term yet? Like, is there no new school way of saying peeping Tom? I mean, I guess that's where voyeur and spectator come from, but no, this nigga was a peeping Tom. But I'm trying to figure out who in this world is still peeping in folks' windows after the invention of the internet. I don't know who else, but that was Derrick's ministry, honey. I'm talking from puberty on. You could catch Derrick looking through somebody's window. This nigga had all kind of charges for criminal trespassing, peeping, and stalking bitches. You know what I'm saying? Along with a couple of more felonious activities, like that time he had got into a bar fight, drove through a roadblock, and clipped a cop. We'll talk about that in a minute. Just understand, this nigga was always into some shit. Now, if you're looking in, Derrick was a regular dude with a regular life. He married his high school sweetheart, chick named Jacqueline Sims, in 1988. Now, Jackie worked for the post office, so, she had good old job, benefited, and all that shit. They had a couple of kids, a boy and a girl, had him a junior and then a princess. Yes, indeed, Derrick and them living life. When he got out of high school, he went straight into a job as a pipe fitter. Then he went to training at a little tech school or something, and then he learned how to operate a diesel dump truck and how to lay concrete and shit. So the nigga wasn't lazy. But from the outside looking in, this 6'1", 210-pound chocolate drop was one of the good ones. Now, where they live at in St. Francisville, that's like the suburbs of Baton Rouge. St. Francisville is a small town of about 2,000 people. And one of those places where everybody know everybody else, right? And everybody know about Derrick's peculiar solo spectator sports activities. But, they just poo-poo it all away. Derrick's just a good old country boy. I would have never believed that Derrick would have been able to do something like that. I didn't think he was that smart. But I'm going to tell you how Derrick was a whole monster, and not one person thought he was capable of pulling off the stunts that he did. But I know a whole lot of people that know how to play dumb, but they smart as fuck. I'm just saying. Now, Derrick's hunting ground was between Baton Rouge and Lafayette, Louisiana. He stalked women, he approached them head on, and charmed his way past their defenses. And once they fell for his nice guy charm, he beat them, he raped them, and then he would get into some neck play, either strangling or slicing. Like, goddamn, Derrick, this is not what the fuck they meant by when they said, let me see what that neck do. The women in and around Baton Rouge were under attack, and it all started when Connie Warner reported to the police that somebody was stalking her. Now, she didn't know who, but she knew somebody was watching her, and she reported that shit to the police. But unfortunately, the police couldn't do anything with Connie's feelings because when they would come and survey the scene, they ain't see nobody. And so, that was pretty much it. That is until Connie was reported missing on August 23rd, 1992. They found her body beat to death on September 2nd, 1992 in Zachary, Louisiana. That's about 30 minutes north of Baton Rouge. Man, when I tell y'all, Derrick beat the brakes off her inside her house, took her body, drove to a bridge, and threw her body into a ditch. Now, mind you, Derrick has already been accused of breaking into people's houses in Connie's neighborhood. He's also been accused of peeping in people's houses in Connie's neighborhood. But nobody was arrested for Connie's murder. Now, in November of 1992, Derrick got pinched for a B&E. This shit is so funny, y'all. This dude named Ron Benj, he come home on November, I think 22nd, 1992, and he catches Derrick rummaging through shit in his bedroom. So immediately he like, man, what the fuck is you doing in my shit? Derrick turned around and was like, oh man, my bad. I was looking for somebody named Monroe, man. My homeboy, I thought it was my homeboy house. Derrick then tries to shake this man's hand and walk out. Now, he actually gets out the door, which lets me know that Mr. Benj is of the Caucasian persuasion, because ain't no way a brother named Ron was going to let a nigga that he just caught up in his shit walk out the house. He might be carried out, absolutely, but walk out on two legs that work? Oh, no. So Ron called 911 and they roll up on the scene and they scoop Derrick up the street riding a motherfucking bicycle. Now, mind you, Derrick is 24 at the time. Sir, what the fuck is you doing on a bicycle? And what was you planning on stealing out this man's house that you can carry on a bike? Jesus be a fence. Now, while he was waiting on his court date, In January of 1993, him and one of his homeboys had the bright idea to break into the house of a 73-year-old man named Melvin Foster. They broke in this man's house and beat Mr. Foster with a stick. Like, sir, this man is 73 years old and it's two of y'all. This man is on a fixed income. He ain't got no money in his house. All they got was a couple of dollars and, of course, a couple of charges. So now you caught. You got another burglary charge as well as an aggravated assault charge. In July of 93, when he go to court, Derrick get up there and charm the fuck out the jury. You know their favorite saying, so well spoken. Well, Derrick gave them the cold switch of their lives. He was looking deep in their eyes as he was talking to them. This nigga was up there on the stand performing like the rent was due. At the end of the day, they gave Derrick 4 years. He get out after a year and go right back to his old habits of creeping and peeping. Now, for a while, he lay low for a couple of months and then he popped back on the scene in September of 1995 when he gets arrested for, guess what? Creeping and peeping. And stealing out the goddamn Salvation Army. Sir, your wife got a good job and you are gainfully employed. Why in the hell is you stealing out the Salvation Army? It shouldn't be nothing in here that you can't afford. And you out here doing a whole lot of. Why you can't stay out of police custody? He do a few months in the county and then again pop out on their ass a changed man. Or so he say. He laid low for a couple of years and then in August of 1997, what Derrick do? He get caught creeping and peeping again at some woman's house. They arrest him again. They let him go. What I want to know, sir, where's your wife? Why you ain't divorced this nigga yet? I mean, at this point, it's mostly been creeping and peeping and no murdering since Connie. Now, you might think that Derrick is just a pervert with a voyeur fetish. But you would be wrong because this is Melanin Mayhem, and I ain't even begun to get into the fuckery. 28-year-old Randy Mabrewer, she disappeared from her home in Zachary, April 18th, 1998. Her body has never been found. Her disappearance is a total mystery, and it remained a mystery until 2004, after all the other shit was said and done that I'm about to tell you about. This is a case of how the DNA machine will keep spitting out information if you keep feeding the evidence. Now, here's the thing. We know for a fact that, well, after the fact, we know that Derrick was murking bitches in 1998. His next spree is believed to have started like in 2001. But for them 3 years between 98 and 2001, this nigga wasn't in remission from killing. Oh no. Derrick ass was in prison. I told y'all the nigga stay getting caught for the same shit. I don't understand. The crimes that are going on, why they ain't looking at Derrick? Oh yeah, that's right. He black, and the blacks don't do these types of things. So even though this nigga is the creeping, peeping, breaking in folks shit type of criminal, he don't fit the profile. Up next, he is accused of stalking and peeping on women in a St. Francisville apartment complex in August of 1999. And I did say women, plural. Oh yes, this nigga was going from apartment to apartment, just window to window. Like, sir. Then Derrick went to jail for stalking one woman and beating another woman. They give him 2 years probation in like December 1999. Now that's a gift. You done stalked and beat up on a woman and you ain't serving no time. You would think that the nigga would lay low. But not this audacious nigga. Oh no, honey. In January of 2000, the very next month, this nigga crashed the fuck out. You gonna find out that this nigga like to open up a can of whoop ass on the ladies. It's gonna be a recurring thing that you gonna see. Well, in this case, in January of 2000, he jumped on a woman named Cassandra Green. Now, Cassandra ain't just some woman. Cassandra is Derrick's girlfriend and baby mama. Now, let that sit in for a minute. How a nigga that's a peeping Tom, a fucking pervert, got a wife and a side chick? Make it make sense. Anyway, Cassandra and Derrick had a little situationship, right? And the week before this incident I'm finna tell you about, Cassandra had took out an order of protection to keep Derrick the fuck away from her because he was threatening her life and calling up to a job, just carrying on. Sir, again, you as a whole married man. What the fuck is you over here doing with Cassandra? Well, I don't know what he was doing with Cassandra, but I know what he did to Cassandra. Kicked and stomped the dog shit out of old girl. Oh, yes, honey. That was the fight at the bar that I alluded to in the opening. Apparently, Derrick was up at the bar hitting on a chick, and Cassandra was not pleased and attempted to check that ass. Wrong move, baby, because it went left real fast. Derrick decided to let his feet do the talking. After he stomped out Cassandra, he jumps in his car and he blows through a roadblock. clips a police officer. Sir, now you got assault, violating a protection order, violating probation, attempted murder on a police officer. Derrick, if you don't sit your ass down somewhere, for a serial killing motherfucker, you ain't got no chill at all. Like, Derrick don't give two shits about running up on the popo. Cause he understand when he get in jail, he gonna kiss up to the judge. This nigga wrote a Dear Judge letter. He talking about, the only thing I can do is try to be a better person than I have previously been by governing my actions now and in the future. I have been influenced by a lot of things and people in my life that I came in contact with. Some of them bad, some of them good. But as can be seen, the bad have had a much more profound effect on my life. Then this nigga say, if given the opportunity by you to have my sentence shortened, I will not let you, my family, society, or myself down again. Negro, please. When it was all said and done, he went to court in April of 2000. They gave him 2.5 years in prison. But we talking state time, right? So it's not like it's actually 2.5 years. We talking more like 9 months. That nigga was back on the streets by early 2001, and his punk ass didn't waste no time stepping up his game and going from creeping and peeping to drilling and killing. We also know that he is suspected of not only Randy's killation, they also think that he is the man that killed 44-year-old Mildred Alexander in February 2001, not long after he got out the joint. Yeah. Say Mildred was coming home from working her shift at the Walmart in Centerville, Mississippi. Now, don't get caught up on the fact that I just hit you with another state. You see, she lived in Zachary, Louisiana, and Centerville, Mississippi is like 35 miles from Zachary. It's in the neighborhood. That's the Walmart they're going to go to if they go into the Walmart. Anyway, they found Mildred. Honey, somebody had beat the brakes off of her and cut her up real bad. Just like with Randy, the Zachary police didn't have a clue about who killed her. What they do know is that on September 24th, 2001, 41-year-old Gina Wilson Green, she was a nurse and was at home minding her own nurse business. They found her dead in her apartment, strangled, beaten. There were no signs of forced entry. Who in the hell did Gina open her door for? I tell you who she opened the door for. A smooth talking, shyster ass, killing ass, well spoken dude named Derrick. But wait, it wasn't enough to just end Gina's life. Do you know that this audacious nigga 2 days later went upside his old lady head? Yes! On September 26, 2001, he done squared up on Jacqueline, the wife. The police come, they take Derrick with them on a simple battery charge. But of course, the charges were dismissed. That dick must have been real good. Now, 21-year-old Geraldine DeSoto, she lived in Addis. Again, that's a suburb of Baton Rouge. She was young. She had a husband, though, named Darren. On January 14, 2002, Geraldine had just left LSU registering for graduate school. Life was great. At least it was until Derrick opened up a can of whoop ass on Geraldine. Baby. That day, January 14th, her husband Darren came home and found Geraldine in a pool of blood with a shotgun next to her. Now, first thought was, oh shit, did my baby just commit suicide? I mean, it's blood, it's a shotgun. That's not a big stretch. Now, he's running over to his wife. You know, he's trying to minister to her. He realizes that she is covered in bruises, like head to toe. So now he really like, what the fuck? As he looking at her, he can see that her throat is just hanging open, like cut the fuck out. Man, that's a hell of a way to come home and find your people. The shit just don't make no sense, Derrick. Like, you got hellacious aggression for the ladies. Can you make it make sense for me, please? It wasn't enough to beat this woman to a pulp. You had to go in for like a signature move or something and slit her throat. Stinking bastard. He laid low for a couple of months and then he popped back on the scene in May. Our next victim is 22-year-old Charlotte Murray Pace. Now, Charlotte was getting ready to move to Atlanta. She had a job waiting on her, and she was fixing to go start living her best grown-up life in Atlanta. Now, she had just moved into a townhouse not too long ago with her best friend. Baby, on May 31st, 2002, the roommate came home, and the house was just tore up. Like, it looked like it had went down in there. So the roommate walking in, and she trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. She walk into the bedroom. She calling out Charlotte's name. She go in her bedroom, turn on the light, and there is Charlotte, dead as a motherfucker. Charlotte had been stabbed 81 times. Did you hear me, Noir Nation? 81 times. This nigga Derrick was jigging her with a knife and a flathead screwdriver. A flathead screwdriver. Do you know how hard you gotta stick somebody to make a flathead tear the skin? Ooh, shit. That's some nasty work there. And 81 goddamn times? That's diabolical. And that wasn't enough. This sadistic motherfucker then beat whatever little life was left in Charlotte the fuck out of her with a tire iron. Nay, I know you lying. I promise you. Man, you know I don't bring you nothing but the truth over here. Now again, Charlotte put up a hell of a fight. They tore that goddamn townhouse up. But then Derrick gave her the coup de grace too. That goddamn Colombian necktie and slit her goddamn throat. Now Derrick, that's a lot. Like, you done killed this woman 3 different ways. Once again, no signs of forced entry. Like, Charlotte opened the door for her killer. I wonder what made her do that. I bet it was because she ran across this smooth-talking, shyster-ass, killing-ass, well-spoken-ass dude named Derrick. Now, in July, the nigga started showing out. He gonna try for a 2-piece, all in one day. On July 9th, 2002, an unnamed victim in Bro Bridge, she was assaulted and almost sent to join the ancestral plane, but she survived. Baby, somebody in her family that was on the main line to Jesus, honey, because she's supposed to have been in the upper room, but she didn't go. So since Derrick left her alive, he decided to try again. So he go around the corner a little bit. Diane Alexander is just chilling at her house. There is a knock on her door. When she opens it, there is a clean-cut young black man asking for directions. When she went to give him the directions, he attacked her. Diane says she don't know how many times that man hit her. He just opened up a mega-sized can of whoop ass and the shit was going down. Like, for real and for true. Diane actually should be in the upper room. And she would be in the upper room if it hadn't been for her son coming home for school just as she was in the midst of getting mollywopped. When Derrick heard that car pull up, he ran out the back door. So with Diane's account of how she ended up opening her door to Derrick, we see how the shit going down. He all nice looking and mild-mannered and shit, appearing, talking. Now he all nice looking and mild-mannered appearing, talking like he was raised right. Just made women drop their guard and want to assist him with his direction finding. They didn't know that they were about to be dropping their guard for a smooth-talking, shyster-ass, killing-ass, well-spoken dude named Derrick. Now, police are trying to solve the mystery. I mean, these are white women getting killed. They need to find out who the fuck is killing the women of Baton Rouge. I mean, they got the evidence that's being collected at the scenes, you know, off their bodies and the surrounding areas, but no clues as to who is actually doing this shit. On July 10th, the police announced that the same person that killed Gina killed Charlotte. Okay, so we don't know who did it. We just know the same person did it. Okay then, law enforcement, y'all keep at it, and hopefully y'all will get this thing wrapped up fairly expeditiously. But they didn't get it wrapped up fast enough though, because 42-year-old Pamela Kennemore, she was somebody's wife and somebody's mama. At 42, I mean, that's not a big stretch. But on July 12, 2002, witnesses say they saw a white pickup truck with a bad paint job and a toolbox, leaving in a big-ass hurry. Now, those same witnesses saw Pamela come home. She had come through the front door, but she left her keys in the lock. How many times have you done that shit? It happens all the time, right? Well, Derrick came right on in, honey, and went to work. Called Pamela while she was in her bedroom. Baby, when she was dead, he threw her in that truck and drove over to the Whiskey Bay Bridge, and then he dumped her body. She was found like 4 days later on July 16th, floating in the creek. Just, that's a tragedy. Now, at this point, we talking 6 women done got frizzled. The community is in an uproar, honey. They want to know what the fucks is going on. Police formed one of those super-duper task force in August of 2002. What's crazy is that this task force was made up of law enforcement from all over Louisiana, made up of everybody except the Louisiana Attorney General. Which is crazy because the AG office got that juice. I'm talking about big budgets, they lit. But, you know, they don't just show up to the party. They have to be invited. The super duper task force was like, we straight. We don't need no help. We got it, Lester. Thank you. But their own biases stopped them from being able to solve the crimes because they weren't taking all of the tips and working them. Well, wait a minute, what you mean, eh? Let me tell you what I mean. There was this woman named Colette Dyer. Now, Colette was a firefighter, a public servant, right? She was also one of the women that Derrick creeped and peeped on. Mm-hmm. She went to the police several times, telling them that Derrick Todd Lee was their man. The police basically told her to stop smoking that dope, because the man they were looking for was white. Colette was like, no, I'm telling y'all, Derrick is your man. You need to look at him. He is doing this shit. But clearly they didn't pay her no mind. They didn't investigate a credible ass tip because of bias. The black people don't commit serial murder, ma'am. They aren't sophisticated enough to pull this type of crime off. Colette was not going to be deterred though. She called everybody trying to get somebody to listen to her. She called the police. They were like, black folks don't commit those type of crime, ma'am. She called the attorney general. The attorney general was like, ma'am, there's nothing we can do unless we're invited. She called the district attorney. The district attorney was like, ma'am, it's a super duper task force. They said black folks don't do that kind of shit. She called the sheriff's office. The sheriff said, ma'am, the super duper task force say black folks don't do this kind of shit. She called the super duper task force. They was like, ma'am, black folks don't do this kind of shit. Nobody paid this woman any goddamn attention. And it wasn't just Colette. Check this shit out. Also in the summer of 2002, the Zachary Police Department had some cold cases that they asked the AG to come and help them with. Zachary is where your boy is, hunting around at. That's in that area. Now remember, the super duper task force didn't need the AG help. ZPD was like, shit, we'll take all the help we can get. So the AG, they sends over a investigator named Danny Mixon for the assist. ZPD, they tell Danny all of their information. They got this one guy named Derrick Todd Lee that they think is good to be the perp because he got a shitload of peeping and creeping, burglaring and stalking bitches. ZPD say they gave his name to the super duper task force too, but they told them that they didn't think D was the serial killer. Now, investigator Mixon, he wasn't on that it can't be him shit. He went in and he started following the evidence. He took his time and he did it right. Now, we're going to put a pin in this for just a minute. I'm going to be back in just a few minutes and I'm going to tie it all up real nice and pretty. Now, in September of 2002, the FBI put out their profile of the killer. And of course, it was a white man, right? So for 10 months, the police, at the direction of the super duper task force, they did a DNA dragnet. And that's exactly what it sounds like. Them white women was coming up dead and some white man was doing it. So every man the police ran up on were asked for a cheek squad to prove they weren't the man out here killing all these white women. Do y'all know that more than 1,000 men got the Q-tip treatment? Not now damn one of them was the goddamn perpetrator. They was just men that happened to be men. Now, can you tell me when the fuck has that ever in the history of the American history of history been a dragnet to find out who killed a black person? Y'all let me know, because I don't know everything. I'm a Virgo and all, and I know a lot, but I don't know this one, and I ain't been able to find one. So if you know, because where you live, you seen the shit happen, let your girl know. But anyway, back to the story. Now, in November of 2002, Derrick and his wife filed for bankruptcy. On paper, they looked like a regular, normal family just hitting a rough patch, but trying to right the ship and shit. And then, further on in November, Trenisha Danae Combs, 23 years old, cutie little pie. Just a cutie pie. She had plans of becoming a Marine. You see, Trenisha's mama had done passed on, and Trenisha would go to the cemetery and visit with her. Just sit, commune with her mama. And on November 21st, 2002, they found Trenisha's car at the cemetery, but Trenisha wasn't nowhere to be found. 2 days later, on November 24th, a hunter found her body, half naked, about 20 miles away in a field, beat to death. I'm talking mollywop, frizzled, and monkey stomp. Now, you mean to tell me this woman was visiting her mama and Derrick snatched her from the grave? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying happened. Y'all know it take a special kind of monster to do that. Like, that's diabolical. Now, the police come and do their investigating, and on December 23rd, 2002, the police say that Trenisha was killed by the same man that killed Gina and Charlotte. Okay, it's good to know that the same man is doing it. I really would feel much better if you would tell me who this man is, because then Marie Ann Fowler probably wouldn't have got killed. You see, Marie Ann, she's from Baton Rouge, and on December 24th, Christmas Eve, she went to go get a sandwich in Port Allen. She was snatched up and never seen again. I'm talking about never seen again. No, her body has never been found. Like, ugh. Can we do something, police? Police, please, Mr. Police Officer, can you find the man who's killing all these women? Now, the task force, they kept looking for white men because everybody knew serial killers were white, right? But they never did find that white man, though. They even had a $200,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest. They kept that mindset for 7 whole months until March of 2003 when they pivoted and they started saying, well, killer could be of any race. No shit, Sherlock. I wish y'all had figured that out before 26-year-old Carrie Yoder got fucked up. You see, Carrie was a doctoral student at LSU. I'm talking about full of life and adventurous and just a loving girl. The last 24 hours of her life, she had went to Mardi Gras, enjoyed herself out there. And honey, I love me some Mardi Gras. I love Louisiana, period. Like, New Orleans is my jam. Anyway, that's not the point. Carrie went home from Mardi Gras, and then the next day she kind of kicked it around the house. And what they know for a fact is that until 7:45 p.m., she was on her computer. What happened after 7:45 p.m. is a mystery. Some say that she left and went to go get some groceries or some shit, but all we do know is that on March 3rd, 2003, she was never seen alive again. Some kind of way, Derrick managed to snatch her up, rape her, beat her, and strangle her. Her body was found March 13th floating down a canal near Whiskey Bay. When they found her body, they collected evidence and sent some DNA off, and then they found out that Carrie was also killed by the same man that killed Gina, Charlotte, and Trinisha. Okay, so I told y'all about that pen. I told y'all I was going to come back. So let's go back to that pen that we put in for investigator Mixum. Now, he been doing the work, and he thinks that Derrick is good for the shit that went down in Zachary. So what does he do? He go and he questioned Derrick straight up on May 5th, 2003. He want to know about Connie and Randy's murder from back in the 90s. He's not questioning Derrick about the current murders that this dragnet is out here for. Where after he got a few questions asked, he was able to put enough together and he got a warrant to get a swab of Derrick's DNA. Q-tipped his ass right there on the spot. Sure did. Wait a minute, Nay. That's that shit now. You can't fool that DNA. You sure can't. And Derrick do that shit too. Cause let me tell you is, before the investigator pulled out the driveway, tell me why this nigga, he went over to that school and pulled his kids out. I ain't talking about for the day. I'm talking about withdrew them from the school system. Yes, honey. He told the administrators that they were moving to Los Angeles. Now, clearly Derrick didn't know how much time he had before the test results were in. So time was of the essence. Now, this is what I don't understand. What was all this for? Taking the children out of school. I mean, understand, Derrick is married. So what the fuck is Mrs. Todd in all this? Like, what was that conversation? If he pulled them children out of school, he must have wanted old girl to get out of town because the shit was about to hit the fan. I wonder how that conversation went down because remember, Jacqueline got a good job at the post office. In my mind, I see her saying, nigga, you expect me to just up and leave? What the fuck you done did now, Derrick? And it probably really hit different because according to Jacqueline's people, a girl was in denial about what Derrick was out here in these streets doing. I mean, sis, you married to a man that creep and peep on bitches on a regular and everybody know. You know somebody or somebodies in her family was in her ear telling her that Derrick ain't shit, girl, leave that nigga. I know for a fact that her auntie went and gave an interview to the newspaper and told all the business, honey. Oh, yes, honey. Auntie said Derrick moved one of them women into the house with his wife and his children. Excuse me, what? You moved your bitch in my house? That tell me everything I need to know about Miss Post Office. Baby, that dick must have been platinum coated, cause girl, ain't no way I wouldn't have been on the first 48. The story would have been they was trying to find both of y'all ass, cause disappeared is exactly what the fuck y'all would have been. Fed to the gators, crocodiles, or whatever it is out there in them swamps. Don't play with me, honey. Play with your mama. So there was a neighbor who had been trying to buy Derrick's house for a while because it backed up on Derrick's house. But Derrick and them never would sell. Now that he ain't finna be on the run, the neighbor just so happens to run into Derrick outside. And so Derrick tell him, hey, if you still want to buy this house, contact my mom and my daddy, Willie and Florence, and they'll sell the property to you. He told the neighbor that we finna be out. So, you might as well go ahead and jump on it. So the neighbor was like, bet. Later on that same day, the neighbor said that they ran into Jacqueline. And they asked Jacqueline about, you finna move? And Jacqueline was like, yeah, but we ain't gonna be gone far. Bitch, what the fuck that mean? Again, why the fuck is you leaving? You ain't did nothing, sis. Or did you? Did you know what your husband was doing, Jacqueline? Is that why you all calm and shit? Anyway, back to the DNA. We all know that DNA testing, that shit ain't instant. But it varies from place to place how backed up the lab is, right? And in the case of Derrick's DNA sample, it took about 3 weeks. On May 23rd, investigator Mixon got the results that Derrick's DNA was a match to the motherfucking killations that the super duper task force been working on for a whole goddamn year with no results. Oh shit. So now that the results are in, now it's time to apply some pressure. But remember, the investigator questioned Derrick way early at the beginning of the month. We almost into June now. This nigga done had 3 good weeks to goddamn do some shit. And they realized that because when the popo showed up at Derrick's house on May 26, 2003, when I tell you that motherfucker was empty, I'm talking abandoned. No forwarding address. No Derrick, no children, no Jacqueline. This nigga done talked you into leaving like a thief in the night and you ain't even do nothing. Again, that dick must have been in beast mode because what else can make a woman do some dumb shit like this? Oh shit, nice. So what the fuck is Derrick? Well, let me tell you what Derrick at. So after he got his children and they emptied the house out, Derrick jumps on a Greyhound and he leaves Louisiana. First stop, he heads to Chicago. He laid low there for a minute, then he hopped on another bus and he headed south. Hot Atlanta, here Derrick come. When he gets to Atlanta, Derrick get a room at one of those long stay cheap motels. You know what I'm talking about. The drop in. You know the kind of motel owned by one of them Patels that you pay by the week. And I know that this dude was Indian because the name of the nigga that told all the business is Indian as fuck. I swear, this name makes me laugh. I'm going to try to get through this. I really am. But you know, black folks, we don't take shit serious. So the name of the place where Derrick went and got him a room at was called the Lakewood Motor Lodge. The manager of the Lakewood Motor Lodge was named Boo Boo Cut It Out of Collar. It's funny because it's funny when it dances across his tongue. Boo Boo Cut It Out of Collar. My country ass, though, in my mind, I feel like I've said this man's name in a sentence. Like, I really do. Like, I could say something like, Boo Boo could have told you. I'd have called her ass back. You know, Boo Boo cut it out of collar. I love being bilingual. Anyway, back to the story. Boo Boo Kitty said that Derrick had been at the hotel for about a week, renting a room for $135 a week. Now, Boo Boo Kitty said that Derrick was handsome and had a thing for the ladies. He was always running up on them, asking them if they was married. Now, he said Derrick was a real ladies man. He would hit them with that, hey, baby, you want to come to my room? I got some of that yak. This nigga was out here bribing these ladies with that cognac, man. That brown will do it every time, won't it? They say that whole week, Derrick never slept alone, baby. This nigga was looking for a sponsor. And in the most unbothered nigga, chilling hard kind of way. Baby, Derrick was new dick up in that piece. He had all them coochies jumping. They, and I'm talking about the women of the Lakewood Motor Lodge, they said that Derrick was charming and handsome. One woman named Val even went so far as to call him very gorgeous and very kind to me. Val said she prayed with Derrick. Oh, that's what we calling it, Val, when y'all was up there on that yak. Y'all was praying. Okay, it makes sense. Val say she took Derrick anywhere he wanted to go, honey. Val was trying to get chosen. Oh, pick me, bitch. You just met this nigga in a span of a week. You swear you know this man. And of course, here come Val talking about, I just couldn't believe it when the police came and said he was wanted for killing all them women. Yeah, your ass could have been his next victim. How is that for some sobering information? This nigga got everybody fooled. He's so nice. He's sweet. He's so helpful. Derrick ass had joined right on in at the do-drop-in community. This nigga got on the grill one time and barbecued some ribs and some chicken for a little communal gathering, and now everybody living. But you know what? The devil is the devil all day, every day. Do y'all know that this nigga was even over there in the span of a week setting up Bible study? See, the devil know the Bible just as good as any other religious person. I'm just saying. But baby, Derrick's time at the lodge was short, honey, because on Monday, May 26th, the nigga got some bad news from home. You know that nigga was still in touch with his people back in Baton Rouge. And see, this is what Derrick fucked up. See, he used Boo Boo Kitty phone to call 2 phone numbers in Baton Rouge. Derrick punk ass was calling and his folks was like, hey man, you hot as fuck right now. Everybody looking for your ass. They got your face plastered all over this bitch. You need to file all the way back. And that's just what the fuck he did. He grabbed his shit, told the drop-inners that, hey man, my mama's sick and I got to go. He had Val drop him out the train station and dipped on that ass. Now, mind you, at the same time, the super duper task force was monitoring all his people's phones, and when they see an Atlanta phone number call, they called the phone number back. Boo Boo Kitty answered the phone. They say, hey, who you know in Baton Rouge? And Boo Boo Kitty was like, I don't know nobody in Baton Rouge. It was one of my customers that used my phone. Okay, so who was the customer, Boo Boo? And so Boo Boo Kitty was like, his name is Derrick. And they was like, oh, for real? Is he still there? And Boo Boo Kitty was like, yeah, he's still here. Okay, y'all know what that means. It's time to ride out now. Okay, so what happened then, Nate? Well, at that point, the FBI and the super duper task force called up APD and they was like, hey man, this nigga that we looking for, he hiding out in your city and we know for a fact that he over there at the Lakewood Motor Lodge. And APD was like, shit, say less. APD proceeds to put this nigga's face all over Front Street too. Yes, baby, breaking news. If y'all see this man, call APD. Everybody applying pressure. Once again, you know the streets gonna find a way to get that pay. Them phones start ringing. I seen that nigga over here. I seen that nigga over there. Y'all remember the dude drop in? They called over and was like, hey, that nigga stay over here. So APD rolled right on over to the Lakewood Motor Lodge and Boo Boo Kitty told them, shit, y'all just missed that nigga. Well, you know, Derrick had to move quick, and I'm guessing that them pockets was dry. So where does a nigga go when the lint can't make rent? To the homeless shelter. And Derrick went right on over to one of the homeless shelters here in the city. But knowing that he was hot, he knew he couldn't stay in one place for too long. Plus, if I know that that's where these niggas go to the shelter, the cops know that shit too. So Derrick bounced, and a couple of minutes later, here come APD pulling up. Just missed that ass one more time. But again, this nigga ain't got much to work with, so it's only a matter of time at this point. The very next day, May 27, 2003, the FBI and Louisiana police pull up. APD get them up to speed about, you know, what has transpired, and then they go get suited and booted to go get Derrick ass. But they really didn't need to suit and boot a goddamn thing. They actually could have sent top flight over there to pick up Derrick because this nigga didn't have no fight in him. They rolled up on his ass walking around a tire shop of all places. A tire shop. Like, you just ain't got nowhere to be if you hanging out at a tire shop at 8:30 at night. APD rolled up on this nigga and was like, hey, you got some ID? And Derrick was like, yeah, and he handed them his Louisiana ID with his whole name on it. I mean, at this point, why the fuck not? They looked at his ID and was like, all right, nigga, let's go. And Derrick was like, all right, okay, lead the way. The very next day, May 28th, they had that ass in front of Judge Richard Hicks. Now, Derrick didn't have much to say in court. He walked in with his head down and was talking real soft when they asked him if he understood the charges against him. And he was like, yeah, I'm ready to go on back. He wasn't going to fight the extradition. Now, the shady-ass judge, he talking about, well, all right, they here and they ready to take you back. So go on, y'all have a good trip. Shady boots. Now, Derrick's ass is headed back to Louisiana. And baby, they was ready to take that ass back. When I tell you they sent a posse to come get that ass, it wasn't no room in the courtroom for nobody else for all them goddamn officers from Louisiana. During transport, Derrick get diarrhea of the mouth. You know how they do. He started talking about how they gonna kill him and he ain't scared to die. He ain't got no fear. You know what I'm saying? My heart don't beat no fear. This nigga say, next to OJ, I'm the second most hated man in the world right now. There's some facts to that. That's a factual statement. Now, Derrick talking about, you know, I know I ain't gonna get no fair trial. And I'm all right with it. Nigga, you ain't got no choice to be but all right with it. Like, what's gonna be is gonna be. Then Derrick started trying to explain why his DNA been found at the scene of all these murdered women. He talking about because he a ladies man. He see a class of women during the daytime and then he see another class of women at night. Cause these high society women, when they get around their friends, they don't want their friends to know that Derrick was their boo thing. Nigga, if you don't sit your ass down somewhere, well, you know, ain't nobody believing this bullshit. So they get Derrick back to Louisiana. They continue on with their investigations. They searching Derrick's shit. They snatching up his little car and shit and whatever. And here's the thing that everybody want to know. Where the fuck is Jacqueline and them kids? Cause ain't nobody seen hide nor hair of Jacqueline's ass since Derrick snatched them children out of school on May 5th. Come to find out, Jacqueline and them children was in Chicago. You remember that was the first place Derrick went when he went on the run. I guess they all went to Chi-Town. Derrick must have got them settled and then he kept it pushing. Ma'am, you done turned your whole life upside down for a creeping, peeping, killing, drilling, Jesus be offense. Now, Derrick was scheduled to have 3 trials. The first trial was going to start around August 2nd, 2004. And even though Derrick's DNA is linked to all these women, they don't lump them all together. First, they don't lump them all together because the victims were not in the same city. And because it was different jurisdictions, even though they were in spitting distance of each other, they were going to charge Derrick one by one. So basically what they were saying is, we're going to make sure your ass don't never get out of jail. His first trial started, like I said, August 2nd, 2004. It was for Geraldine DeSoto from her murder in January of 2002. Now, they charged him with second-degree murder in Port Allen, which, again, is in a West Baton Rouge parish. Now, they didn't go for the death penalty because they just wanted to get some points on the board. Because you see, with them death penalty cases, you got to prove too much shit to meet the bar. With second-degree murder, you just got to prove that a motherfucker did it. And they did that shit. Now, I don't agree with everything. This one little part, I didn't really care for, y'all. They called his son to the stand to identify some boots that they had got from Derrick's girlfriend, Cassandra's house. I ain't even gonna start on this woman because it must have been slim pickings up in there if this woman is still fucking around with this married ass man that's out here killing folks. But okay, whatever. They matched the boots to prints that they found in Geraldine's house, and then they had the knife that Geraldine had been stabbed with. I don't understand why they made Derrick Jr. identify it. I mean, yes, it was his daddy, and yes, it had been used to stab Geraldine to death and walk around in her house, but I feel like that was traumatizing for that boy. I mean, at 15 years old, that's an impossible situation to be in. I mean, he didn't want to testify. They made him testify. And I don't understand that. Like, why the fuck couldn't Jacqueline testify about her husband's shoes and his knife? Why Junior had to? Like, I worry for that young man's mental. I mean, he already got half his chromosomes from his daddy, who we already know is a killing, murdering motherfucker. This little boy loved his daddy, and to get up there on the stand and turn state against his daddy, that'll fuck even somebody who ain't fucked up. It'll fuck him up. I pray that somebody got that young man some counseling, like, for real. Either way, Derrick Jr. got up there and was like, yup, that's my daddy's shit. So y'all know what that means. Derrick, your ass is cooked. Now, the defense, they just tried to delay the trial as much as they possibly could and wave their hands in the air. You know, they didn't really have nothing. Other than pleading not guilty, it really wasn't much else. Their defense was somebody else did it. It wasn't Derrick. Okay. On August 6th, Derrick decided to come in and bring some shenanigans into the courtroom. Derrick tried to get his lawyer, a man named Tommy Thompson, thrown off his case. Now, on August 6th, in the middle of the proceedings, this nigga stand up in the middle of the court and start performing. Now, mind you, the coroner is on the stand testifying about how Derrick had done fucked Geraldine up. When this nigga stands up in the middle of this man talking and says, quote, "My life is on the line here." What, sir? I mean, everybody just kind of looking at him at this point. This audacious nigga then got the nerve to turn around to Geraldine's family and say, quote, "I want these people to find out the truth about what happened to their daughter." Nigga, what? The way I would have took a flying tackle like I played for the NFL on his ass, they would have had to peel me off that nigga. I mean, Derrick just playing out in they face. I told y'all, if they'll shenan once, they will shenan again, and again. But let me tell you something, Judge Robin Free, she wasn't here for none of it. She basically told him to sit down somewhere. She was like, look, you got 2 choices. Represent yourself or keep that nigga. But what we ain't finna do is stop this trial. And they didn't. The trial went on August 10th, 2004. It took the jury less than 2 hours to find that as guilty as charged, and he is sentenced to life without parole. Now it's time for trial number 2. Now, we know you already got a life without parole, but this second trial, they're going for the death penalty. He's charged with first-degree murder in Baton Rouge this time for killing Charlotte Murray Pace. Now, the prosecution put on more than 60 witnesses and had all that DNA evidence, right? The defense, much like in his first trial, attorney Mike Mitchell didn't really have much to go on. All he kept saying was, Derrick can't get no fair trial. Everybody in the county is biased since he's already been convicted. This shit is a sham. He can't get no fair trial. But it is what it is at this point. So then Mike Mitchell was like, well, you know what? The problem now is y'all won't let me argue that Derrick is mentally disabled. Because y'all know his elevator don't go all the way up to the top. And because of that, y'all can't give him the death penalty. And the judge was like, look, he wasn't mentally challenged when he did all this shit. He wasn't mentally challenged when he had his first trial. And he ain't mentally challenged today. So, sir, find you something else because this right here is not going to stop us from cutting his water off. That trial lasted for 8 days. It took the jury all of an hour and some change to find that nigga guilty as charged on October 13th, 2004, and he was sentenced to death for killing Charlotte on December 10th, 2004. So the third trial was supposed to be for Trenisha, and it was going to be in Lafayette. But after sitting through 2 very high emotion trials, the families of the remaining victims was like, man, we good. You can't kill that nigga twice. So they just didn't have it in them to sit through any more trials, reliving what they loved ones had went through with Derrick. So they didn't pursue the next trial as it was scheduled for Trenisha or for Diane Alexander. Remember, she was the one that got attacked and lived through it. But in both cases, Diane testified at both of these trials about what Derrick had done to her, so it was on the record. And I'm with the families on this. That had to be a horrible experience, like ripping the Band-Aid off every couple of months. So they went into the new year of 2005 and put to bed any thoughts of Derrick going on trial anymore. But Louisiana state law did give the DA the right to bring any of these cases up at a later date, just in case Derrick fucked around and won any of his appeals. So now Derrick Todd Lee is off to Louisiana State Prison at Angola. And now begins the wait on when we get to stick your ass, nigga. Derrick's legal team filed all of the appeals that go along with a case like this, right? And they didn't go nowhere. Like the one that they filed in September of 2015 when they tried to say that Derrick was mentally disabled and that his lawyer should have put more emphasis on that during his trials. The Louisiana Supreme Court was like, nah, we ain't trying to hear that shit and we ain't changing shit, nigga. You finna get this goddamn needle. Well, it was not gonna work out like that. 4 months later, in January of 2016, this nigga was rushed to the hospital. Of course, the public is like, why did they rush him to the hospital? Nobody knew. Well, Noir Nation, Derrick went on to glory January 21st, 2016. I wish I could tell you it was because of some super badass illness that took his ass out, but it wasn't. It was just regular old run-of-the-mill heart disease. Very anticlimactic. Like, I feel like he should have been shanked or some shit. Not passed away with all the good medicine to keep him comfortable. Where's the fun in that? And that, Noir Nation, is the story of Derrick Todd Lee, a prolific serial killer that killed with impunity for more than 10 years and terrorized the women of South Louisiana until one man brought that ass to justice. Now, I only have a couple of things to say about this story. One of my favorite sayings is, it takes all kind of people to make up a world. And there are some really great people. There's some really good people. There's some mid people. There's some assholes, Karens and Kens, racist, sexist, and all the other ists that are out there. But there are also some really bad people out there too. And the problem is that all of the people that aren't bad, they think the number of bad people is small. It's a minuscule number. And we wrong. We wrong as fuck. It's a lot of them motherfuckers out here. And the problem is they don't walk around with a scarlet bee on their forehead. Like, they don't glow or turn into a pillar of salt when they walk into a church. Them motherfuckers blend in. That's what they look like. The nigga you think is bad because he got 67 teardrops on his face and tats and piercings everywhere, he usually ain't dangerous unless you fucking with him. If you cool, he cool. The ones that get off on the killing and the raping and the beating, they are cloaked in regular lookingness. Like, I saw something the other day, and it was something to the effect that said, when they started tracking serial offenders, the serial killers, it was like 96, 97% white and 3 to 4% black. And thus began the myth that black folks don't do this shit. But we know now that info was flawed. They went into that shit with a bias. So, okay, when you fast forward to now the split is like 60-40. And I still think that percentage is off, but okay, let's go with it. 40% is still a lot of motherfuckers. Now let me hit you with these numbers. 2,300 people in America go missing every day. That's 839,500 people a year. If you are 40 years old, since you've been on this earth, 33,580,000 people have been disappeared out this bitch. Theoretically, 13,432,000 of them was killed by a black serial killer. Now, sure, I won't say that everybody that come up missing got. You know, some of them run away voluntarily. Some of them go hiking and fall off a cliff and do some other old caucastic shit. You know what I'm saying? That ends in death. But in my opinion, the majority of people that come up missing, they don't do that shit voluntarily. And in the time frame of 10 years, I'm talking 1993 to 2003, more than 60 women came up involuntarily unalived in the area where Derrick lived, like in a radius of 50 miles, with him being the epicenter, all unsolved. Like, that's crazy. That's really, really big numbers. Another thing that bothered me while I was doing this researching, when I realized that he got found in Atlanta, I was like, wait a minute. Y'all, I watch the news like a little old lady. Like, I'm on it every day. 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock. If I'm home, I'm watching the news. I like to know what's going on in my city. Back in the day, I used to get the newspaper. I loved the news. Well, in May of 2003, I lived right here in the city of Atlanta, and I never heard of any of this. And I'm thinking, how the fuck did I miss this, Nate? Like, y'all, this was big. Anderson Cooper was like doing live shots while the APD was giving a play-by-play of how they was playing peekaboo with this nigga. I mean, this was a real thing. Well, long story, extremely short. I had my daughter in May of 2003, and she was extremely premature. I'm talking 25 weeks. And it was crazy because my water broke in week 24. And I was in the hospital, and they were pumping me full of steroids to try to get my baby to develop. And, you know, because I was supposed to have 6 more weeks to finish baking her fully, right? Well, my daughter was having none of that, and she made an appearance a week later. And so the entire month of May 2003 was a blur for me because I had this little 2-pound baby in the NICU. And I missed all of this. And it happens, y'all, because as soon as the cameras go off, we move to the next story. So that's what makes these true crime podcasts even more valuable. Putting this information out here about the things that have gone on in our cities, it makes us all a little bit safer because now we all know it's some shit we need to be looking out for because it's going down. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go. Y'all be careful with these nice dudes asking for directions. That was Derrick's moves, and it was also used. You remember last week when I told you about them cook boys? They like to ask for directions. And I'm here to tell you today that it is okay to not open yourself up. It's okay to say, I don't know, even when you do know. All I'm saying is being mindful of your situation might save your life. Like if you're in a well-lit, well-populated, people everywhere kind of place, go ahead. Help anybody you want to help. But I'm saying if you are parked way off in the cut, it's not that many people around, or the people that are around aren't paying any attention. If you are somewhere isolated and someone out the blue knock on your door or knock on your window that you don't know and they want to ask you for some help, it is perfectly okay to not open the door. You do not have to let your window down. It is perfectly fine to pull the fuck off, to take off running, to start yelling your goddamn head off. Who cares if somebody might think you crazy? You don't know them folks? Fuck them. I'd rather you be safe and thought to be a little throwed off than to be a mark for a madman. But throwed off or not, baby, y'all are right with me because you down with the mayhem, honey. I like you because you like me. And now you can let everybody know about our Like Fest by hitting that like, follow, and or subscribe button right there on your screen. Just let your fingers glide across the screen and just make your statement for you, honey. Go ahead and leave me a comment about what you think about this week's podcast. This week, I'm shouting out Tanya, Miss Sugar Brown. Miss Tanya say the way she be snorting and cackling through these episodes, she is now a card-carrying member of the Noir Nation. We thank you, Tanya, Miss Sugar Brown, for being down with the nation and for lending us your ears every week. Now, if you are out here and you do social media on X, I am Melanin Mayhem PC. On YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, I am Melanin Mayhem Podcast. There is also the Melanin Mayhem discussion group on Facebook. Go ahead and join. It's lit. And if you would like to send me an email, you can send it over to melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. Y'all, thank y'all so much for spending a little bit of your day with the country girl. Next week is Christmas, and I am trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm not quite sure if there will be a full episode or maybe just like a little something. I am not sure. It will be something. It will be a surprise. I will spend a little time with you. I just ain't quite sure what I'm going to give you. So until next week, I need y'all to do what you do. Stay safe. Stay vigilant and remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. It's one love, Noir Nation, and the country girl is out of here.